This is a deadly weapon. The Germans so feared this weapon that at the Treaty of Versailles, when we made it a war crime to use mustard gas, the Germans tried to outlaw the trench gun, the shotgun, because with buckshot, it's a deadly weapon. In 1936, John Grand invented this rifle. This is the M1 Grand rifle. It's clip-fed, 8-round magazine. At the time, the Germans were still using 5-shot bolt-action rifles. When we were attacked at Pearl Harbor, we were still using Springfields and Enfields, 5-shot bolt-action. This semi-automatic weapon, clip-fed. When the bolt locks back, you take a stripper clip, 30-06 rounds, pop it down in there, and it comes forward on its own, and if you don't get your thumb out of the way, you get a grand thumb. You don't want your finger caught in there. But George Patton said this was the weapon that won the war. This is the M1 caliber, M1 carbine, 30 caliber carbine. This was made to replace this. It was made to replace this for troops driving trucks, convoys, artillery units. But the American soldier, it was so light, carried a 15-round magazine that gave you a lot more capacity. And some troops loved them because they were light. They could carry a lot of ammo. 30 caliber round, 200 yards, do just as much damage about as a 30-06. Just didn't have the range, but you either loved it or you hated it. But it's a very fine weapon. We issued these to Vietnamese, along with Grand rifles in the Vietnam War. We used this through Korea and also the Grand through Korea. He was talking about camo. The first people to come out with printed uniform camo were the Germans, SS. They invented camouflage uniforms. Well, the U.S. Marines got camouflage. They got these helmet covers. They also got issued, this is a Model 41 3-pocket jacket. Notice you can store your hand grenades in here. Marines like pockets because they can carry ammo, whatever they need to carry, grenades. Up against the Japanese, you never know when you're going to get caught in a hole for the night. But they also issued the U.S. Army in Europe uniforms like this. But our troops thought they were SS guys and they got fired on, so they pulled all the camo away from the Army in Europe, and that's why you see all the camo pictures of uniforms in the Pacific, because the Japs didn't have anything like this. This is USMC, what they call frog pattern camo. They not only did the helmet covers, but they did a full uniform like that also. And when you carried a carbine like a platoon leader, like I would be, you notice there's no accoutrement for a bayonet. So you carried a K-bar, which was better. Because that doesn't stick very far, and if you've ever seen a Type 38 Jap rifle, it's about that long, and their bayonet's about that long. So, anyway, that's a brief history, and our weapons would remain the same for a little while, and then I'll let the Korean vet tell you more about that.
This is the same rifle, essentially, that he just had. This is the carbine, but it was later fixed for a bayonet late in World War II. It was modified and it used a bayonet from then on. From 1910 until 1945 when the Japanese surrendered. The Japanese occupied and controlled most of Eastern Asia. After their surrender at the end of World War II, the Korean Peninsula, being one of those areas, was divided among the Allies at the 38th parallel. The northern half was controlled by the communists, mostly Russian forces, and the southern half went to the UN, or mostly U.S. forces. There was great difference in the development of the countries under the communist government and the democratic governments, and they quickly got at odds just as they are now, and we went to war on the 25th of June, 1950. The UN fought the war for the South, but the U.S. supplied 80% of those soldiers. We were ill prepared to go to war, so we went wearing the kind of stuff I've got on right now. It was leftover World War II equipment. Everything you see here was developed and used at the end of World War II. Weapons, clothes, etc. One thing that came out different is it was cold there, so they developed this. You'll see pictures. This is the parka they wore, and I'm not going to wear it today. And these were the overpants that you see in a lot of the Korean pictures. They're too hot to wear today. Again, the weapon of choice was the M1 Garand. It was left over from World War II, but it went on into Vietnam. Notice that the bayonet is shorter than it was on your World War I weapon. That's a major change. If you look back through the years, the bayonets get shorter and shorter. It's even shorter on this one, and then when we went to the M16s and the M15s, they still had a bayonet that same size. The guys today, I don't think use a bayonet at all except for ceremonies. During the Korean War, we lost 33,686 killed in action, and as a comparison to one of the others that you heard talking, when we had more died of disease than we did others, we had a total of 21,000 service members died around the world in training accidents and disease, meaning totally during the Korean period we lost 54,000 people, but only 21,000 of them anywhere else in the world, 33,000 in Korea. But again, it's just like everything. We start the war without enough people, without the right equipment. We have to go in and start fighting the war and get upgraded. This equipment is what we went to Vietnam with. And they quickly got there and says, this stuff won't get it, and we had to go to the tropical uniforms that they developed after we got into Vietnam. I'm telling you that just because there's nobody from Vietnam here following me today. So just wanted to cover that. We started, these same weapons went to Vietnam. They developed the M14 after we got there. And anybody got a question for me?